Hi everybody, so we are here another day in Porto. Today was round number 3 in the Maya Chess Open 2024. Unfortunately, I lost, but I'm still here doing the recap that I promised you every single day of the tournament. And let's go! So, today's game I was white, and my opponent supposed to play CARO-KANN, and against all my historical um, line of what my opponents do when I prep, and is usually play totally opposite to what I prep. Today he came into my prep. Um, I played d4, and when he played d5, I played e5. So I was expecting him to play bishop f5, which was sort of my main prep. But of course, he didn't. It couldn't be that perfect. He played c5, but I was also prepared against it because, of course, if I'm going to play the advance, I need to also check other variations that maybe can just happen. So I played knight f3, he played knight c6, and I took the pawn. So right now I have an extra pawn, and black needs to be careful, otherwise white's gonna keep the extra pawn during the whole game, and that's a decent advantage, actually. So he played bishop g4, I played bishop b5, he checked me, I protected, and he can't push the pawn pinning my knight because my queen can still take over there, and the knight can't take back because he's also pinned. So he moved e6, threatening my pawn, and I protected it because I need to kind of try to keep my extra pawn as far as I can. And it became like more difficult for him to play accurately, trying to retake the pawn at some moment. Anyways, he was a 2200 player, so of course he knew all this, or I think that he knew because he did it. So he played knight e7, I played a3. My plan with a3 is to move b4 and fully protect c5 like for forever. And here something happened. He played a6. So this is the first critical moment when my mind like blew up, because a6 wasn't in my prep. Like, I consider different lines in this position. I'm not gonna get into them because it's kind of useless, to be honest, right now, but a6 wasn't. And I think that's kind of my responsibility because a6 seems like a very natural move for black to do in that position, but it wasn't into consideration when I prep. Maybe just an irresponsible assumptions that it wasn't going to happen because it was bad. But like when you assume these things and you never know specifically what they are, not that accurate. So here I treated it as the normal line where I usually take the knight on c6. But what I would have done here, after of course analyzing, was b4, because then when he goes back to c7, I can just castle, and he can't take the bishop because then when I take back, he can move the queen, for example, over here. My knight comes in, and when his king comes, I break everything with c4. And black's pretty bad on this position. We're a piece down, but in exchange of the piece, we have 2 pawns, and we have an amazing position. If you check his pieces in the background, the 2 rooks and the bishop are not playing at all. To move the dark square's bishop, he needs to move the knight on e7, and he can't move the knight on e7 because the pawn on d5 is hanging, 2 pieces threatening the pawn. So pretty annoying position for black. That was the best move, but here I just decided to take and not to spend so much time because I am also working on time control, which was something I struggled with a lot in Poland in my previous tournament that is also on my Twitch channel, but in this tournament I'm trying to improve it and maybe try to not to spend so much time in moves that I know that at the end I'm gonna decide that are not the best, or I'm just simply not gonna be encouraged enough to make them. So I was trying to work on that, but after I made the b4 idea, and then when he came to b7, I came bishop f4, and then he played f6, and I really liked the f6 because like for myself, because then after h3 I'm forcing him to take. If he retreats, I'm gonna do g4 and I'm gonna keep my extra pawn, so he has to take when I take back, and then he doesn't have the compensation that in that moment was his pair of bishops, but now he doesn't have anymore the pair of bishops. So I felt pretty comfortable in this position, and then when he takes back, I moved back to g3. So here was another important moment for me, trying to decide what to do, like either go to g3 or to go to h2. I didn't get to a conclusion actually. I just decided to go g3 because it was like closer to the center and because I had other diagonal. But the engine says that was better to h2. I realized it as a normal human 20 moves after in the game that I would 100% rather to have my bishop on the h2. But of course I'm human and I'm less than 2000 rated, so hopefully I'm gonna be more soon, but right now that's not into my possibilities to be able like to fully comprehend why g3 is worse than h2. Right now I just checked my game like for 5-10 minutes after I played it, and I still don't fully understand why one is better than the other, but I moved it to g3, which is not a mistake, of course, it's just not the best. And he moved bishop e7 and I moved queen g4, and I felt pretty good here. Like I had a good feeling. I felt like everything went good for me and not that good for him. He also spent so many time thinking here, like h5. He spent so many time here because I'm threatening f4, and the only thing he can do to do something is h5, I think, forcing my queen to retreat. Otherwise, I'm gonna go with f4 right after, and he's gonna die. The reason why he needs to push my queen, like to attack my queen, is because my queen is currently protecting the bishop. When I move f4, the idea is that if he closes, I'll push again, and I'm gonna do this cover attack to the queen. But that works because my bishop is protected. But after my bishop is not protected anymore by my queen, when I push f, the bishop is hanging. So actually I can't discover because my bishop is pinned. It's gonna be taken. So well, I just tried to position my pieces better. And after king g7, I knew that was a bad move because there was no way for the king g7 to be good. And I did c4, which was a good move for me. Also, I checked the game afters, and seems that c4 is thematic in too many lines of this CARO-KANN. I know c4 is thematic in, of course, the advance against CARO-KANN, but I don't know, like in this moment I just found c4 and it didn't came natural. I really fought a lot to get to the conclusion that c4 was a good idea. So I went with c4, he went with queen f7, and I moved my knight to c3, which was missing an opportunity that I have right now. So the opportunity I missed is to move my queen to e3. So moving my queen to e3 is basically getting out of the possibility for the knight to move to d4. And why this is a problem? Because if he is not threatening anything when he moves to d4, I can just take the pawn on e5. So queen e3 was pretty nice move. I was thinking about queen e1, but I think queen e3 is better because it's kind of more flexible and keeps the rooks connected. So I saw it, I considered to move the queen for that in like according to the idea I mentioned, but I just didn't feel like, and I felt like knight c3 was better at that moment. He played rook d8 and I came to e1 with the same idea I mentioned before. So you can see I was not lying. I really had that in consideration, but I just didn't do it in the right moment. Came bishop e2, and then he played e4. And again, I knew this, like there was no way this was a good move. I went, of course, with bishop d6, which was something I was desiring since the beginning of all this crazy line, because look at that bishop, like he has a good spot on d6, and I just took it. Then he came here. And here I missed, like, I think the best opportunity I had on the game. But I think, guys, this is something pretty hard to see, especially, look my time, 1 minute to 34 seconds. And I was, like, still maybe 20 moves before control, because when we reach the move number 40, we get 30 more minutes. but before that you need to play with your plus 30 seconds each move. So here I just should have played f3. And the thing is that when he takes, I don't have to take. And this was something I didn't consider in my analysis. And this is something as a coach I always tell to my students. Like, when you offer a trade and your opponent takes you, you are not forced to take back. Like, you can do an opening tree of too many things to do. This is something we almost fail, of course, as humans. We think that we need to take back. I thought that I needed to take with the pawn, but I don't have to. Here I can take, I can take this pawn with my pawn, and then, well, if he takes back, look the pawn structure. Like, I already got what I wanted, which was to break the pawn chain that was actually killer at the end. Like, that's why I lost. So I didn't see f3. I came with queen d2 instead. It was a mistake because I missed the opportunity. I think my biggest opportunity, and then everything started to go wrong. Here seems that I lost other opportunity. Like, of course, against f3 was always something to consider. I considered it, but I just didn't feel like, because again, when pawn takes, I could have take intermediate move, knight takes knight. Of course, I didn't like, I think I didn't even had that time to fully get into it, and I was so nervous. I was so sleepy as well. So I don't know, too many things were going on. Like, also I was thinking like how I'm still running out of time in 27 moves. Like, that was crazy. So hi. This is my room. She just arrived. So I didn't do it. I just I'm filming a recap, don't worry.
That's okay.
So I just took the knight because I was, as I said, running out of time and I just needed to do something. But after, like, this was so hard for me. Queen f5 seems that I have another chance just to go back to life, which was, of course, the move. Like, the f pawn. Don't think that I didn't know that I could move f4. I just didn't have enough time to properly think about f4. And it was 50-50, like, could have been good or bad. In this case, it was good, but you never know. So after queen g4, I tried, like, so hard to stay alive, but didn't work, and he found all the best moves. And I got into an endgame that was so bad for me. Like, he forced me to trade queens, and after we trade, it was no chances for me, like, at all to just try to go back to the game. So yeah, this was, guys, round number 3. I'm happy, like, with how the opening and early middle game went, because that was pretty nice. Actually, like, till almost the end of the middle game, like, when we was about to get into the kind of last part of the middle game, everything started to go wrong because I spent, I think, irresponsibly so much time thinking in moves that didn't worth it. So I think this was the main mistake today. But anyways, tomorrow's gonna be a new day. Tomorrow's gonna be a new recap, a new round number 4. So I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you all tomorrow at 4 p.m. Portugal time, 5 p.m. Spain, and yeah, so on. Bye guys, thank you.